Hi, welcome back to this tutorial where we're drawing a French Bulldog in graphite pencil. So as you can see, we've already drawn out the body. I have recorded that as part 1. So if you haven't seen that already and you are wanting to follow along and draw the whole thing, then I'll link it in the description. So you can go back and watch that one first. Also in the description, I've just popped a list of the recommended materials that I use. So if you're wondering what sort of pencils and erasers and everything that I'm using, it's all in the description. So for this part, I think I'm just going to work on his ears and then possibly a little bit of his head, depending on how long these ears take. So at the moment, I'm just rubbing out the grid that I used to draw the outline. Just very lightly, and I'm using my petty eraser. Obviously, if you didn't use the grid method to draw out your outline, then you don't need to do this. But just getting it ready. So where the lightest parts of fur are, I'm just going to use my eraser and lightly just dab on top. I don't want to lose the lines completely, but I just want them to be a bit lighter, as I want to make it so that the fur is like flicking out like obviously it is in the reference photo. I don't want any sort of harsh lines. Missed a line here on my main outline, so I'm just going to redraw that and then rub it out, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but I've just done it for the reasons I just said. So for this part, I'm just going to be teaching you how you can get realistic looking fur in graphite pencil. Obviously with the French Bulldog, it's got quite short fur, so that's what we're going to be learning here. And in the ears also there's like light areas, dark areas, so I'll show you how I achieve all of that. So I'm going to start with his left one, and I just want to outline this main bit, and obviously we can see where the light is hitting him, there's sort of like a white outline around his ear. So it's just like where the lighter furs are coming from the back. So I don't want to go right to the edge of where my outline is, but I'm just going to use pencil strokes like this. And I'm just going to go up and down and leave that little ring just around the outside. I'm going to do that pretty much all the way around and just make sure that I'm following the direction of the fur. I'm not pressing too hard with my pencil, I'm using sort of like a medium pressure. Like, I don't want to press really hard and like indent the paper or anything. You're just lightly drawing in the furs. I just made up a word then. I couldn't decide whether to say fur or hair, so I ended up just saying furs. I don't think that's real. So I'm literally just going up and down, like I said, following the main fur direction, having some go slightly off to the side. We don't want it to be just lines up and down. Okay, now we've got to right here. You can see his ear folds slightly there. So there's like a triangle there where it's a lot lighter fur, so I'm just going to go around that, mapping in that shape. And then we can see down the bottom the fur starts to go towards the left again. So just drawing that in. Going to go over this line I drew in a bit earlier as well, just to rub it out completely now because I know where it is. I'm going to draw around this little arch by here. Again, it's all just like little folds in the fur. Obviously French Bulldogs, they're quite wrinkly. So there's lots of contrast, lots of light areas, lots of dark areas. Just erasing really lightly now that initial outline. So now we've got the shape mapped in, we can almost, well, we just know where it is now really. You don't have to worry about keeping it. Just this little part, you can see the hairs go into the really light area, so just drawing a couple of fur strokes in there. Like we did in part 1, we're going to be blending all of it together later on anyway, and then we're going to be using the eraser to pick out all of the lighter furs. I've said furs again. I don't know if it's a word, but I've made it a word now, because I clearly can't speak. So now that shape is in, I just want to bring it all down. So you can see on the reference photo that sort of this little area is really light. So I'm not going to put too much pencil in there, but I just want to bring this down to sort of create that shape. Still doing quite short fur strokes because the hair is really short. So that's all you want to do with your pencils really. You're sort of just recreating that fur texture by just copying. You're copying like the lengths of the fur and sort of the texture. It's quite hard to explain. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but obviously, like if you're drawing a dog and it's got really long fur, you know, maybe like a golden retriever or something, you've got really long wavy fur, then you're not going to be doing fur strokes like this with your pencil. You're going to be doing a lot longer, like swoopy sort of motions, whereas this French Bulldog fur is quite short and sort of spiky in a way, so that's what you want to try and recreate with your pencil. now that's in, I want to go in still using my 2B pencil, and I'm just going to go over the darker areas. So anyway, you can see like on the reference photo looks almost black, it's quite dark. Just going over that, doing the same pencil strokes, but just using a bit of a harder pressure. And I'm still using sort of the side of my pencil, because like I said earlier, I don't want to like indent the paper or anything. I want it all to blend together quite nicely. I really hope these tutorials are going to be helpful to you, and you know, you either going to be able to recreate this French Bulldog that I've done, or even if you're just sort of watching these videos to apply to your own drawings, I hope they're helpful. Like, I started to feel like I was really improving with my tutorials, doing like coloured pencil, and now I've started this graphite pencil tutorial and I feel like I'm starting from scratch again. It's quite hard. Like, obviously I've been drawing for years and I just don't really think about what I'm doing, I just sort of do it, so it's quite challenging to almost like take myself back to the start really and try and explain and actually really think about what I'm doing and try and make it as easy as possible to follow along and everything. But practice makes perfect, and that's the same for your drawings and for my tutorials. There's another wrinkle just underneath this fold that I did earlier, so I'm just going to go over that as well, using a light pressure. Just doing small, tiny little pencil strokes. I think I might start on his right ear and then like blend them together, so we're doing sort of 2 in 1 rather than me teaching it all to you in one and then having to do all like the same process again for the second year. That'll be quite boring, I feel like, so we'll just do it all together. So we're doing the exact same thing. This year is a lot darker though, as you can see, so it just means we'll maybe be using darker pencils or just pressing harder with our pencils later on. But we're just following the fair direction and making sure that you're drawing in these short like flicky motions with your pencil. Still just using like the side of my pencil for these base layers. Like you can see my pencil's not that sharp. You'd be glad to know as well that my cold is finally gone, which is why I've decided to finally record part 2. I think now it's just like hay fever, I think. Just got like a little bit of a runny nose, but I'm all good otherwise, thank God. Okay, this part here is really dark. Obviously you can see I've already drawn that in with my outline. Just going to go over that. Still using 2B, we haven't changed pencils. Just pressing a bit harder to get it nice and dark. Going over this little dark area there. And there's also a little bit here. Okay, now just sort of going around the light area like we did with his left ear. So because of the way Hugo is facing and the way the light is hitting, on the left side his ear is darker than the outline of his head, if you can see what I mean. Whereas on this side then is where his head is darker than his ear. So just sort of on the other side, so like into his head, I'm just going to draw in this little outline here. I'm still just going to use the 2B pencil, so just erase it a little bit more. And then following the fur direction, so the fur is going outwards towards this side. I'm just going to draw in little strokes that we can blend into its head when we draw that later. Just want to get that shape in. Don't want it all to just like blend into one, and then later on we get to the head and his head ends up looking a funny shape because our proportions are wrong. We don't want that. So just a little bit. That's literally all I'm doing with graphite pencil to start with, is focusing on what shapes you can see and just getting them in. So obviously we don't need to worry about any colour or anything. It's literally light, dark and fur texture. So like I did with the left ear, I'm just gonna redo the really dark parts of this year with my 2B pencil, and then I think I'm gonna blend it and then go in with the 4B and start again. So just keep looking back at your reference photo and make sure all of your face strokes are going in the right direction and all of your dark bits are in the right place, all of your light bits are in the right place. If you do follow along with this tutorial, I'd really appreciate if you do want to share it on social media, just to tag me, because I'd love to see it, and it'd be really helpful if, you know, your sort of followers are able to see, yeah, my channel as well. It'd be really helpful, and I'll be able to carry on creating more tutorials and everything for you then. Just need to erase like we did with this year, just this outline. So when we blend it out, it's going to blend into this bright white area, which is outlining the year. But we can use the eraser again then, just on the outside. Okay, so in part 1, if you've watched it, you know that to blend, I like to use a tissue, and I've just folded it up into a little point. And you can use blending stump or a cotton bud, whatever is best for you. So I'm literally doing the same thing. I'm starting with a fresh side, so I'm using the same tissue I used for the body, but I've just folded it to the other side, because obviously there's this bright sort of white area around the back of the ear. Don't want it to get too dark. So I'm just doing these little strokes and I'm just blending it out. Hopefully my hand's not in the way. There we are, you can see there's little bits of pigment just around the outside now, which is perfect. Okay, just gone around the outline to start, so I'm just going to do the same with this ear. I'm kind of starting from where the outline is and blending in towards the middle. I'm going to erase this outline too and do the same thing down here. You can see there's a little bit of pigment on my tissue now, but it's nowhere near as dark as what I used for the body, but probably will be later on. Okay, perfect. And carry on with the inside of the ears now. Just want it all to be quite smooth, just as a base, and then add all the details on again on top. So even in the lightest area where it's pretty white on reference photo, I'm still just going to blend it out. So like I said, I'm going to use an eraser then later to put the hairs back in. Okay, do the same over here. Okay, perfect. I'm going to use 4B now. So we're just pretty much repeating what we've just done with the 2B. I want to focus a lot more on the darker areas now though. Just doing small strokes with my pencil and I'm pressing a little bit harder. Obviously it is a darker pencil now that we're using, so you don't have to press super hard. So with graphite pencils, I only use pencils from like 2B onwards for my drawings. So as the numbers go higher, so as the numbers go higher, the pencil gets darker and it's a lot sort of softer as well. So you don't want to be using like an 8B for this stage or 10B or whatever, because we still want those fine sort of first strokes, but we do just want them to be a bit darker. I said in part 1, I'm trying to use sort of not many pencils for this tutorial. I want it to be really like beginner friendly, like you don't need anything at all really. So I just use like 3 or 4 pencils and my erasers. And just do the same with this year now. Obviously this one, like I said, is a lot darker. So we can press a little bit harder. You can see I've taped my drawing down today, so I don't have to worry about touching where I've already drawn now to hold the paper down. I was doing my head in the last video. I think I'm going to blend this out now as well, and then I might sharpen my pencil and then just go back in with a bit more of a finer detail. I'm just doing the same as earlier. I'm not really going out much into that bright outline though. I'm just focusing on like the inside of the ear now. Okay, found my pencil sharpener. I'm going to sharpen my 4B and my 5B pencil. Now, after I've sharpened my graphite pencils, I like to do a quick, just little scribble on a scrap piece of paper, because I find sometimes the pigment can go a bit funny, like straight after sharpening, or you'll have like a dark bit will just sort of, I don't know, just appear out of nowhere. So I like to make sure that that's all sorted on a scrap piece of paper before I go on to my drawing. So I'm using my sharpened 4B pencil now, and I'm really going to focus on putting that detail in. Just with that out there, I can see my pencil smudge has probably come off my hand. Right, okay, so pretty much same thing again, and I just want to use like the tip of my pencil, and I'm pressing quite hard now, so I really want to get these first strokes in. So still just focus on the darker areas, and that's what we're going over. Oh, be quiet, Biscuit. So, who is shouting at now? Just got to be careful with this part here. Make sure that your fur is going in the right direction. So you've got some bits going up and out towards the right, and then you've got some bits going out towards the left. So just make sure you're looking really closely at your reference photo. So I know on the photo this part is quite a bright white, but don't worry about that. We're going to do that right at the end. So there's lots of different ways that, you know, you can work with graphite pencil, but this is just how I do it. Just onto the right ear now. This part down the bottom is really dark, so I'm pressing really hard with my pencil. I'm just flicking it outwards into the ear so that it blends out. It's the same here as this part. You've just got to check which direction your fur is going. There's some flicking that way and some flicking that way. I found it, like, if the direction of the fur is wrong, it's not going to look realistic. It's just not going to look right at all. See if there's like a couple of bits out of place, you know, that's normal, but as long as the general fur direction is going the right way, then you can't get too far wrong, really. With these longer bits here, I'm doing my pencil strokes in like little triangles. So if you've seen my other tutorials, I think I did go through it in the first part. Sorry, it's like just my scrap piece of paper, I've got everything on you. I'm just doing like strokes like that, so there's almost like two hairs coming out of one part. Just makes it look a lot more like fur than if I was just doing lines like that. So it's like you can see where sort of the fur is coming out of the ear. If that makes sense. Hope it does. Right, before I go in with the eraser to do the white hairs, I'm just going to blend this middle section. I want it to be quite smooth before I start putting the light hairs in. The same here as well. It's probably not necessary, but I've done it anyway. Okay, so I'm using now the it's from the brand Tombow, and it's called the Mono Zero eraser, and it's just like a little pencil, and you can use it to just erase small little areas. It's really good for those like fine details. So I'm just going to start with this one, and I'm literally going to use it like as if it was a pencil. So just doing the same the same thing, but you're just pulling out the light areas. You can use your scrap piece of paper once you get quite a bit of pigment on the eraser. You can use your scrap piece of paper to just rub that off and then go back in. So closer to the right hand side is quite a bright white, and then it fades out and goes a little bit darker. So I'm just pressing harder with my eraser on this side and then flicking it out towards the left. You can always go back over with a pencil on top anyway if you accidentally erase too much. The only annoying thing about this eraser is that it leaves, you know, like little bits of the rubber behind. Obviously it's like a normal rubber really, but obviously the putty eraser just sort of keeps it all in one place. So I just lightly pick up those little bits, just use my finger really lightly. My phone's saying I haven't got much storage again, so I'm quite paranoid. Keep checking every like 2 seconds that my phone is still recording, because I did a tutorial a few weeks ago, can't remember which one it was now, but it stopped recording, like, I don't know, it was coming towards the end and I didn't realise. I'd done like a little section, and then I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, brilliant, it just hadn't recorded like anything that I'd just done because it said my storage was full. So it's not good. So literally just focus on like the white hairs that you can see now. Like so, we can always go back in later. I'm probably going to go back in with my 2B pencil. This technique is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for all of the fur. I'm going to use the 2B now. I am going to sharpen it now. And just remember to do little scribbles all around on a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so just anywhere that I can see now that needs a little bit more detail, especially in the lighter areas, I'm just going to do that with my 2B pencil. I'm not going to press that hard. Just want to draw in just like extra face strokes really. Anything that maybe got blended out earlier on or I used my eraser on top of. You can sort of go back and forth, see what you think needs doing. I hate when the sun decides to go behind a cloud, like it just changes the whole lighting in you. Like everything just looks blue now. It's crazy. Don't know what to do with this tutorial, whether to do it like carry on doing like a part a week and just sort of get them all up, or whether to do some little coloured pencil tutorials in between. So obviously if you're following along, I don't want you to be waiting ages, but I guess you don't have to start at the same time as me. So I just know obviously I've got a lot of subscribers here now for my coloured pencil tutorials, so I don't want to not give you coloured pencil tutorials, if that makes sense. So we'll see what I've got time for and what I can get done. I can do a bit more. I need to do this. Oh gosh. One thing I like about coloured pencils, I feel like it's less mess. I can do this little part right here. I feel like it needs to be a tiny bit lighter. is the same on this side, just where I went over with the 2B pencil. Some bits are a little bit too dark, I think. If you don't want to erase too much and then go back over it and then erase again, obviously I've done a little bit, but if you do too much you'll end up sort of damaging the tip of the paper. And then you won't be able to like add more pencil on top eventually. But what we've just done now is fine. Just looking now, I've sort of taken a step back and just looking at this bit, I think I've done it a bit too dark. Like there's more light hairs coming in than what I've drawn, so I'm just going to put them in. You might have done it right straight away, not making mistakes like me, so you might not have to do this. But it just looked too dark, like it was really standing out to me, and I just thought that's not right. Okay, I think that's better. Once the whole sort of face is done, I'll say done in like quotation marks, I'll probably sort of do the same thing and just sort of take a step back in my drawing and see if anything needs altering. Like, to me, I'm looking at these years now and I think I'd say they're pretty much more or less finished for now. So this bit I can probably do a little bit darker. I might use the 5B. So I haven't used that yet. Just on these really dark hairs. I think we will leave that here now. Like I said, we can come back to the ears later on in the drawing. But yeah, I think I'll leave that there. I think for the next part then, we'll do this section. Maybe do the eyes as well. Yeah, we see. Like I said, see what we can get done. So I spent like an hour going through this now as well. I think usually like when I'm working, I don't think those years would have taken me this long, but obviously like I said, because I'm trying to sort of take a step back and think of it from like a beginner's sort of point of view, and like really just think about what I'm doing before I'm doing it and trying to explain it. I think it obviously has taken me a bit longer, but hopefully that just means, you know, you are able to follow along a lot easier. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully we'll see you in the next video where we'll be working on the next part of this French Bulldog. So make sure you're subscribed to see more. Thank you. Bye.